again. Let's see what happens. This is take 2 of Tuesday night's live show here, July 8th, 2025. We are under attack, folks. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening here, folks. Let's go to it. Let's figure it out. Can we get a live show going tonight? Can we get a live show going tonight, folks? What is happening? Are we back? I killed the stream to X, so we'll see what happens here. As soon as I started talking truth, they cut me off again. Folks, you're not supposed to have this content. You're supposed to be watching clickbait crypto. You're supposed to be watching hyped up nonsense. You're supposed to be distracted. You're not supposed to own Ripple equity. You're supposed to give up that equity to private equity profiteers with the link to takeover. You're not supposed to talk about the list. You're not supposed to mention crimes against humanity and bringing justice. Are we going to be able to live stream tonight, folks? Are we coming through loud and clear? I killed the stream to Twitter. We have no stream to Twitter. We're just going straight to YouTube. We'll see how this works. Hey, can everybody do me a favor? Can you share the stream out far and wide? You know the stream's worth sharing when they want to shut it down. We're just getting into the cryptocurrency update. So that's the good news, is that I'd gone through the current events, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And now it's time to get into crypto, and in particular, this XRP rally continuing. And it's looking really good. Closing off the day above 230, closing off the week above 225. We had another daily candle closed off yesterday above 225. And we had a nice little bump above 230 today to close off. Are we going loud and clear? Nice and clear on the stream, hopefully. I don't know what's happening. I don't know if it's just my streaming software when I try to go to X. But, hey, that's all right. We're going to get into the cryptocurrency update, part 2. Part 2 of tonight's live show. Let's get right on into it. I want to make sure here. Let's get it going. What the heck? My YouTube is doing some funky things here, guys. It started up a second live stream. What is going on here? Give me 1 second here, folks. Okay. Here we go. I think that we got it now. Are we all good? Okay. I was already starting to get a little sweat going. I was already getting heated. Let's turn up our fan a notch. It's already getting hot in here. We're already warmed up. Okay. Everybody can do me a favor and like this stream, share this stream, and let's get it rocking and rolling. If you guys missed it, we have the lock-in shirt for Brad Garnhouse. He's going to be testifying in the Senate tomorrow. Let's get right on into it. Cryptocurrency update. Guess the liquidity's ramping up big time. we already are tracking daily cross-chain volume of $100 million on the Acceler cross-chain volume. Axelar is the chosen interoperability solution for institutions bridging into the XRP ledger. Cheers to 100 million in daily cross-chain volume and counting. So the XRP ledger EVM sidechain just went live within the past week. I think it's only been a few days. And we're already now crossing 100 million in daily volume. This is massive. Now, the assets bridged were from two major yield-bearing stablecoin protocols, Midas RWA and Falcon Stable. All gas on the XRP ledger EVM is paid in XRP, meaning growth of the network benefits XRP. So that's the nice thing about this EVM sidechain, is it has all the smart contract functionality of Ethereum, but it's using XRP for gas, much more efficient. Once again, 7 days since the integration launched, 100 million in daily cross-chain RWA volumes into the XRP ledger ecosystem, jobs not finished. This is the mentality that I love to see. The developers that are showing up now to the XRP ledger, they are finally getting some good tools to build out and scale our DeFi ecosystem. And they're taking this to the tune of 100 million in daily cross-chain volume already, first week. See, we talked about Ripple and their partners taking volumes on the XRP ledgers into the trillions, and that's coming. But this is somebody else, Axelar, who's already stepping up here with 100 million in daily cross-chain volume. This party's just getting started. 16 million RLUSD minted at the RLUSD treasury. Now, this was on Ethereum, but the reason why I wanted to bring this up today is because with the EVM sidechain now, you have to understand all of these stablecoins, all of the RLUSD that's being minted on Ethereum, all of that value and all of that liquidity can be bridged over to the XRP ledger, and it can be bridged over to the EVM sidechain. And so you have two data points, two metrics to watch, which is the value and the liquidity. So we can bridge over both. We can bridge over the value, the total value lock, and you also can bridge over the liquidity. And that's the process that's now underway. So although you might be thinking to yourself, oh, wow, more minting of RLUSD on Ethereum, this isn't going to impact XRP. But that's not necessarily true, because later down the road, at some point, this could be bridged back over to the XRP ledger or to the EVM sidechain. There's many bridges being built out right now. I was listening to a space today that Vet was hosting with Squid Router, and that's another bridge that's being established here for the XRP ledger as well. Now, what was interesting about this, I was listening to the space, and they were commenting how the co-founder of Squid Network, and I know it's kind of a silly name, but the comment that really stuck out to me was how he commented how they're on over 99 chains, basically almost 100 chains is how many bridges they've built in, the validators that they're running, the nodes that they're running. They're connected with almost 100 different chains. But what they found is that the XRP ledger stands out. It's unique amongst all of the rest. It distinguishes itself from the rest of all of these other basically copy-paste layer 2s of Ethereum or copy-paste layer 1s of Ethereum. And he said how unique it was in that way, and how active our community still is, how engaged our community is. And it was a very interesting point. He said, from an outsider's perspective, I think that the number one thing that you guys should be focused on is the success of Ripple. Basically, noting that Ripple is spearheading the effort of bringing liquidity and adoption into the ecosystem. And so what's good for Ripple is good for the XRP ledger ecosystem and XRP holders as well. Once again, whether you're using XRP on the XRP ledger or you're using XRP for gas on the EVM sidechain, this is all more utility, adoption, and supply shock for the digital asset XRP. I see Chosen One Collective gave us a 2 spot. I appreciate that. Thank you. Why only 2% for True Social ETF? I don't know who's running True Social. I don't think that they're doing a great job. I've already been very critical of President Trump in his association with World Liberty Financial, with their association with some of the other players, basically in the cryptocurrency space. I've been very disappointed in President Trump allowing his family's name to be used in such ways. And I've always been saying here that I think it's going to be a mistake. I haven't heard much about the World Liberty Financial team until they came on the record with their project. And we'll see. Maybe they were the right ones to go with. But I think that they could have done better. The True Social ETF, 2% in XRP, I think that they could do better. I know we're doing better. Since the election, we're destroying the returns of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and Crow, which are the other cryptos that will be included in that ETF. But that always could be subject to change too, right? If they want to adjust that and up the amount of XRP that they hold, they can do that. But I think that it's a mistake. But many other people are making that mistake. Is this President Trump's decision? No. And that's why I don't like President Trump's name being tied to these various crypto projects. I think that they're sketchy projects. I don't see anything really special taking place with them. And I worry that the Trump name is being abused in the process. So that's my concern as far as the Trump family and their involvement in crypto. And as far as the True Social, ETF only getting 2% for XRP, it's a mistake. But it's a mistake that many other people are making as well. And I want to celebrate the fact that at least they're taking the steps to launch an ETF, a crypto index fund, these are going to be very popular products. I have no interest in holding any of those cryptos, Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, Crow. I have no interest in those cryptos, but that's okay. A rising tide lifts all boats, so we're going to celebrate that fact. But I think that they could do better. Okay, let's continue. So, yeah, and as just in conclusion, the point that I was making, you have somebody who gets to take a look across over 100 different blockchains. And it was so interesting to note how they commented the XRP ledger differentiates itself from all of these other chains. I mean, he didn't come out and say it was his favorite or it was the best, but it was just interesting comments from an outsider's perspective, not an XRP maxi, not an XRP developer, but now they're engaging with the XRP ecosystem. And they're not the first, they're not going to be the last. You're starting to see more and more of these developers coming to the XRP ledger because now they have all these tools. Now they can build out DeFi. And so they're going to be continuing to come. And this is why I'm so excited about the XRP DeFi explosion that takes place all throughout the rest of this year. Laws and regulations really help speed up the process as well, too. Now, we've been watching these inflows. And the inflows from Korea have been staggering, to say the least. I haven't tracked anything like this since we've been watching it since November, is when we really started watching the order books and the inflows. I haven't seen or tracked numbers like we're seeing out of Korea in the exchange Upbit. This is Chad. He says, WTF XRP Korea. And he's commenting here on inflows. Now, this was just during a 1 hour period today where Upbit saw 236 million in volume, 172 million in net inflows. So you have to understand you got inflows and you have the outflows. You got to, subtract from the inflows to give you that net inflow, right? Or at certain moments, right? Obviously you could have more outflows. So then you would have net outflows if outflows outpace the inflows. So this is very simple, but what people haven't been able to understand until we've been able to quantify this and put together an equation for folks, the market cap multiplier, and how easy it has been to watch XRP increase in price based off of very little in inflows. Now, despite the inflows that we saw on Korea over the past 48 hours, there was still a bunch of selling. I don't know why. These short sellers are going to get wrecked. There's a bunch of short sellers that are piling in right now on XRP, and they're going to find themselves in some trouble here very shortly. But, despite all of the inflows that we've seen in Korea, we were still tracking outflows on Coinbase, on many other US exchanges, on platforms like Binance, OKX. And so for whatever reason, I don't know what's going on Upbit, but this does not look like retail flows. And so I want you guys to keep watching these inflows with me. because this looks to be institutional. This does not look to be retail inflows. At certain points, we were tracking this 700 million yesterday. At one point, it was over a billion in inflows. That's not retail money coming in that quickly. So something's taking place right now behind the scenes. We're tracking it in the order books, and it's happening on the Upbit exchange in Korea. And you really have to understand how important Korea is to XRP. They were able to suppress and manipulate and kill the XRP pump back in January of 2018. When XRP went up to 380, it was well on its way to going past $4, but CoinMarketCap pulled all of the exchange data from Korea because that currency pair had gotten so far out of whack. Well, that's the point. People in South Korea were ditching the Korean won as fast as possible to go into XRP. So, of course, there's going to be a disparity there, a divergence. That's the market. And so CoinMarketCap rugged the exchange data from Korea in the middle of the XRP bull run in 2018, and that killed the pump. That killed the XRP bull run. Now, this time around, they're not going to do that. We've already called them out on that. I don't anticipate that will happen again. And what's happening now is that XRP is listed on way more exchanges than it was back in 2018. XRP was not listed on Coinbase. XRP was not listed on the dozens and dozens of platforms. There were no XRP ETFs about to go live, right? And so watch these inflows with me over the next little bit, because as XRP in this rally continues, this is where we'll be able to see how much demand is actually coming in for XRP. Despite all the hype videos, despite all the FUD, despite all the noise, where the rubber meets the road is in these order books, in the inflows and the outflows, because that's the pure data. Is there money coming in or out of the asset? That's what takes XRP. You want XRP to go to 10, 20, 30 bucks? We need, 5 to 10 billion in inflows. And we think that that's a very conservative estimate after the ETFs. But we're going to continue to watch that. The big news today was True Social filing its S1 with the SEC to launch crypto blue chip ETF holding Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Crow, and XRP. I already commented on it. Only about 2% of this fund will be made up of XRP, but this is a physically backed ETF. So all of it leads to supply shock. Whether it's me or you, Joe Blow, stacking XRP, whether it's DGen buying a XRP NFT, buying an XRP meme coin, that's all XRP that's being locked up and burned. Or whether it be the largest institutions in the world that are choosing the XRP ledger for stablecoins, for CBDCs, adding XRP to corporate treasuries, index fund ETFs that include XRP, basket ETFs that include XRP, and then the big one's going to be the spot XRP ETFs, which go live here in Q3, which we've now entered. We have now entered Q3 in this quarter. 100%. This case is over. The SEC is about to drop their appeal, and the ETFs will go live this quarter. 100%. By the end of September. And this is not priced into XRP's price right now. Whatever you think is priced into XRP right now, I can promise you it's not. Because the sentiment is in the gutters. I read comments every day. I listen to spaces every day. And the people are still in disbelief, even in the XRP community, that this is for real. Before I go on to share my last data point, I just want to say this too. We might not see XRP below $2 again. I'm not going to come out and say that we'll never go below $2 again. I'm not going to say that. But we might not, right? You have to understand that we are entering a new reality for XRP. At a certain point, too much inflows come in to where we never go back to $2. See, we've already passed the threshold where we never go back down to $1. We never go back down below $2. And soon we enter a reality where we potentially maybe never go below $3. We never go back below 5, 10, 20, 30. This is the reality for XRP. And many people, even in the XRP community, still don't believe it. And I don't blame them. Honestly, it's been a long ride. It's been a long journey. Only the strong have survived this storm. But boy, oh boy, are you about to be rewarded on the other side of this thing. We got Brad Garlinghouse taking over DC tomorrow. Ahead of the banking GOP hearing tomorrow, let me introduce you to some of the 55 million Americans that own and use crypto. I am testifying tomorrow because these are the very people who deserve market clarity. Time and again, the skeptics insist on stereotyping crypto holders, but that's simply not reality. These are the real faces of crypto. Take a look at their stories from the National Crypto Association. Now, I'm not going to play it because I don't know if they have some copyright music going on in there, but the National Crypto Association, that's the group that Ripple founded, and they are showcasing the real-world impact across America, exploring how crypto is empowering everyday people and businesses today. They're showing real people. You got a farmer with the cowboy hat on there. That's what we like to see. Husband and wife. Good. 55 million Americans who've gotten access to crypto, but we're still waiting for the rules of the road to allow this sector to explode. Brad Garlinghouse is heading to DC tomorrow to take over the conversation and the narrative and to showcase how it gets done properly, how crypto can mean business. I want to open it up now for Q&A. Let's take a look at the charts real briefly, but I want to open it up for Q&A. I appreciate everybody for stopping by. We had a little bit of issues with the live stream, so we fired it up here for a second go at it. We're watching XRP back above $2.31 right now. We closed off yesterday at $2.27. Love to see it. And we closed off today above $2.31. That's big. Very bullish. $2.25 was the level that we wanted to flip into support. We did. Look at what happened today and yesterday. Perfect back test to $2.26 yesterday. Perfect back test to $2.25 today. We have flipped $2.25 into support. Now we can proceed higher. $2.60 is the next level that we need to flip. My XRP long is in profit. If you want to learn how to trade futures, it's linked up down below, along with all of our community resources. If you haven't already, let's make sure we like the stream, and let's go rapid fire Q&A. How's everybody doing tonight? Big 5 spot from Dennis. War, Putin pushing. Today, China gave Iran SAM missiles and shot a German jet with a laser. Oil up, Japan bonds crashing. Jake's dominoes are falling. You know, it's interesting. We have to watch that situation closely because it looked like we avoided the worst of it in the Middle East. We're hoping that the peace will hold up, the ceasefire will hold up. But yeah, we did see another cargo ship was attacked in Yemen. We saw Trump implemented the 50% tariffs on copper. That sent copper flying. The one word to describe this market is volatility. And if you're positioned correctly, you can take advantage of that volatility. Once again, we've been shorting Bitcoin when the market's going down, and I go long XRP when it's time to rock and roll. That's how I hedge to the downside, but also leverage when it's time to go long to the upside. We're going back down, let's hedge, short Bitcoin. We're going back up, that's when we hit that lever on the XRP long. And I doubled down and tripled down on my XRP long when I had the opportunity. XRP ran up above 220 when it came back down to 219. We bought again. Double down and triple down. Another one that I was going to double down on today was Zebec. I was looking at Zebec. Let me pull it up real quick. It came all the way down to my target of a quarter of a penny, 0.0025. And it even cleared all the way down to here to 0.0023. I think that this was a great dip to buy. I do think that this one's going to recover. A tremendous play that we had here on Zebec. I don't think that it's over. I think that you probably saw the worst on this one. But I decided to sit this one out, and I'm just going to let you guys have this one. You know, a lot of folks already made a bunch of money on Zebec, and I think that you guys will still make a lot more. I still think that it does recover from here. They're going to be hosting a community spaces tomorrow. They just added new team members too. So I continue to watch Zebec. Currently don't have any exposure to it. But it's not a scam. It's not going to zero. And my targets for it were the levels that we just went down to. And so I just decided not to pick up though, because I don't want to be involved anymore. I took way too much crap for giving away free alpha and helping my community make millions of dollars. And that's not a number that I'm pulling out of my you-know-what. I shook the hands of people that cumulatively racked up hundreds of thousands of profit in XRP Las Vegas alone. I spoke with my contacts at Caleb and Brown, and they confirmed that, yes, we made a lot of money on Zebec, as I've nicknamed it. Zebec treated us well. But it was just sad to see. You know, I give away free alpha, and I get a bunch of crap for it. And so we called the top, we called the levels that we was going to go to, made our money, printed millions for the community, and then we said, yeah, it's going to come back down. And it came right back down to my downside targets of a quarter penny. The only reason why I didn't buy is because I don't want to involve myself. I try to give away free alpha. Think about this for a second. I give away free alpha, and people want to give me crap and say I pumped and dumped it. If showing the red flags on a project, giving a price target, and the coin moves to that exact price target while the team addresses the red flags, what else can you ask for out of a content creator? So, yeah. I'm going to sit on the sidelines on this one, but I think it's going to pump back up. People are going to make money. The folks that called it a scam, the folks that said that we were, didn't know what we were looking at. No, we knew exactly what we were looking at. Red flags and all. So, that's what we do. That's what we do. We made millions. We'll go do it again. Honestly, I really wanted to buy back into Zebec today, but I just feel conflicted. So I'll let everybody else make money on it. Okay. Okay, link to bankruptcy. I forgot to comment on that too. I'm going to be honest with you guys. So here's the thing. The entities that we are calling out are no joke. These guys are legal assassins in every right. Just like I've talked about how Ripple has legal assassins, one of the best legal teams out there. The private equity profiteers that are doing a hostile takeover of Link2, backed by Sullivan and Cromwell, which is the law firm. This is no joke. And so I want to be careful in how I talk about this. We're still trying to get all the facts out of this case. But the fact of the matter is, this is a company that has no debt, that is being now taken through a bankruptcy process by a new management team that comes from a background and a competitor platform in nickel. So they already had a platform that was very similar to Link2 before they came over to become management at Link2, which that's one thing I'm still trying to figure out. If anybody knows the answer to this question, how did they get into the management position in Link2 in the first place? And who are the board members that I'm assuming the board maybe brought them on? How did this happen? How did these guys come into power? Because that's one part of the story that I still don't know yet. So I'm going to have to reach out to some people that maybe are familiar with the matter. People are behind NDAs that want to speak on this and want to expose what they know, but they can't speak. And you guys can probably understand and infer who I am talking about. That's why I've taken my platform and I've tried to speak out about what's happening here. Because there's one side of the story that's being represented in the Wall Street Journal, that's being represented by the new CEO, that's being represented by the legal counterparties that are now enjoined within this case. And there was one side of the story that was represented within the bankruptcy hearing today. I called in today. I was out changing the oil on my truck today, and I called in at 2 p.m. my time to listen to the bankruptcy hearing. And it was as we expected. Basically, this is a private equity firm's dream. This is a private equity firm's dream, especially one that's in bed with Sullivan and Cromwell, which is a law firm, a white shoe law firm that's in bed with the financial regulators like the SEC. I mean, Jay Clayton worked at Sullivan and Cromwell for 17 years before he went to the SEC. He left the SEC to go back to Sullivan and Cromwell, and now he's back at the Southern District of New York, appointed by President Trump. Tuck that one into DAI's All the World's a Stage file. But this is a Sullivan and Cromwell white shoe law firm that is absolutely buddy at the hip with the regulators. The bankruptcy lawyer that's going to be acting as the CRO on this case cited their decades of experience in these matters. But the reason why I say that this is one of the juiciest deals for a private equity profiteering law firm is because these assets have so much unrealized profit sitting within them. And what they have an opportunity to do is to take the shares of these companies while citing basically improper filing and formations of SPVs that were set up to invest in these companies by Link2. They do not cite an imminent case that was going to be brought against Link2. They cite an investigation. Link2 is being investigated by the SEC, and it sounds like the Department of Justice, but no formal charges were brought. But the reason why I say that this is a dream scenario, because they get to come in and say, oh, wow, look at this deal. Look at this mess. And this is how they explained it in the call today before the judge. Basically go on to say, well, you know, this was a tremendous mess, but we have a new management team. We have a new law firm that specializes in bankruptcy processes. We are familiar with the regulators. We're friends with the regulators. I'm paraphrasing, but essentially that's what they said. We understand what needs to be done. We are the almighty. We are the righteous. We're going to come in and save the day. Well, how do you save the day? You kick off all of the non-accredited investors. You seize those shares of the companies that they had exposure to in the name of the SPVs were filed improperly. And there's no possible solution for us to bring this whole without going through a bankruptcy. So instead of filing a bankruptcy with a typical corporation or company that needs to rebalance, they need to stop having, basically the people coming after their collecting their debts. They want to put a pause onto that. They want to restructure the assets. In this case, there is no debt. And you have an SEC that's willing to work with everybody. You have an SEC that's dropping cases left and right. And so in the world of securities, the alleged crime that was committed is a speeding ticket violation in the securities world. Any other firm goes in, pays a slap on the wrist fine. That's the deal. It's over. You bring it back into compliance. You form new SPVs. You form a new deal. You don't take this through bankruptcy. But in the name of coming in and cleaning up the mess, we're the good guys, they're going to seize. They're attempting to seize the shares of the non-accredited at the bare minimum. They might even be trying to take shares from the accredited because they'll say, oh, nope, this was all tainted. One non-accredited investor got in here. Now, in the hearing today, they said that none of the SPVs were formed properly. That's a big statement. Without having it in front of me, I can't confirm it. But that was one of the statements that stood out to me today. Is that they said that all of the SPVs, none of them were properly filed, and that all of the shares of the company were held by Link2 liquid shares and not these SPVs. Okay. So that's the quick summary on the Link2 update. Is basically these private equity profiteers are coming in. They're taking this through a bankruptcy process. not because they have a bunch of debts that they have to restructure, just so that they can seize the assets for pennies on the dollar for themselves while coming up and cleaning up the mess. They can, work with the SEC and their regulators on this matter, and they can seize what is hundreds of millions and even most likely over $1 billion. We're talking billions in unrealized profit on the shares of the Link2 platform held by the customers. That's exactly what this is, in my opinion. So we'll continue to watch and see how it unfolds. The next hearing is going to be August 5th. That's going to be the second day hearings. And we'll update you guys further on the matters as it continues. But we're going to get to learn a lot through this process. The unfortunate part, though, is it looks like they want to screw over the non-accredited and potentially even the accredited too. It's a nasty situation. For private equity vultures, it's a dream come true. They don't have to pay off any debts. All they have to do is come in, kick all the non-accredited off, wrap it into a closed-end fund. It's all in compliance now. It's all good to go. Signed off by the SEC. And we stuffed hundreds of millions and billions of dollars of profit into our pockets while protecting investors. It's an absolute joke, and it's an absolute shame. It's disgusting behavior, once again, from private equity profiteers. And these are the type of guys that give private equity such a terrible name. There's a lot of good that can be done with private equity. But these are the types of guys that give private equity a bad name and make, private equity is despised right now by the general population because they only hear about these stories. They don't hear about the good ones of what can be done with private equity, and especially private equity that's giving access to the non-accredited. In my opinion, that is a humble, a noble cause. It is a noble cause to allow non-accredited to get access to this private equity. Dennis says, it's done, Zach. The law firm knows the judge. It's over. Yeah. Homebase Income says there will be a class action lawsuit. Yeah. 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 We'll update you guys further on the matter. Very unfortunate deal. Para. Let me go here real quick. Catch up on our super chats. Para Commando, thank you for the 50 spot. Chin up, Zach. I love your channel. You're helping this XRP Maxi turn my XRP bag into an XRP treasury. God bless you, my friend. Thank you for the super chat. Glad to have you in the community. Football Sin Corruption, thank you for the 5 spot. Don't give up on being a good guy just because some don't appreciate it. Some others like me do. Absolutely. We're not going to stop. We're not going to let up. Chosen One Collecting asks, when do we decouple from Bitcoin? What's with the Bitcoin hype? So we're already outperforming Bitcoin. So it's important to note that even though we haven't decoupled from Bitcoin, at times we're causing the whole market to go up and down. When the SEC filed their appeal January 15th, 5 days before Gary Gensler's ass was going to be fired, the whole market went down. On days when we've gotten good news, that the case is going to be dropped, Brad put out the tweet that they're going to drop their appeal, the whole market went up. So we're starting to flirt with decoupling. We haven't done it yet. But even though we haven't decoupled, we're still outperforming from a percentage standpoint. And I got to reiterate this because I see a bunch of people come in and say this. Some of them are just Bitcoin maxis that are trolling, but then others are just people that are new to the space that I just don't think understand that we're here for an ROI from a percentage standpoint. You're here for ROI. You want the biggest percentage gain. You don't want to own the asset that's the highest dollar value. Just because Bitcoin's 100,000 doesn't mean that you should buy Bitcoin today. In fact, one could argue that you should be buying other assets that have a much greater opportunity of going up in price. Because Bitcoin's already so big, its upside is limited. And so I see folks making these comments from time to time, and we need to clarify that for everybody. You're here for ROI. So XRP doesn't need to go to $100,000 for us to have a much bigger ROI than Bitcoin in the rest of the space. And that's what we're doing right now. We will decouple, though, at some point. 1970 Legend. Appreciate you, brother. Let's get to the important stuff now. Where's my hat? My man, let me get that over to you. We've been playing catch up on the merch, and we're about to roll out some new stuff, but I'll get that sent over. We'll make sure I'll let my guy know here tonight, and we'll get that sent out to you right away. In fact, actually, no, it should be on the way, Legend. No, it's on the way. I got my guy on it last week. It should be on the way. I'll double check and I'll let you know, brother. Appreciate your support. Thank you for the big 50 spot. USMC Water Rescue 5 spot. Appreciate it. What's your buy target for XRP? What price will you buy again? I'm mostly just using meme coins on the XRP ledger to accumulate more XRP. So I'm buying more XRP from trading meme coins at whatever price I can get it at. As far as turning fiat into XRP, I'm not doing that right now. The next time that I'll buy into XRP will probably be during the correction, after we've topped out and then we're coming back down. Then I'll be buying back in, but I can't tell you what price that's going to be at, because we need to see how high we go, and then I'm going to be able to determine what our downside targets will be. If XRP goes up to 20 or 30 bucks, I'll probably be buying back in at above 10 bucks. If XRP just goes up to 10 or 12 bucks, I'll be buying back in around 5 bucks, something like that. So that's something that we'll have to watch and monitor as we proceed through this bull market, conclude this bull market, and then start our correction. I'm not currently buying XRP right now by trading fiat to XRP. I'm only accumulating XRP by trading meme coins on the XRP ledger. Barkley, thank you for the 5 spot. Do you think that there's a path that XRP could be gifted to the USG via a technology loophole? 100%. Gratis vendor is the term that's used. And Howard Lutnick talked about this. Others have mentioned this. I've talked about this in the past too. What a gratis vendor does is they give up their services or product to the United States government for free. And I've been suggesting that Ripple should do that for quite some time. I've had quite a people critique me on that, been critical of that, saying that no, Ripple should not give XRP to the government for free. I think that they should, and I think that they should also provide services to the United States government for free as well too. Ripple very well could become a U.S. government contractor. They very well already could be. There's been some documentation that kind of leads us to believe that that might be the case. From a matter of national security, ROUSD is going to be critical to expanding US dollar dominance. We need more stablecoins to save the dollar. ROUSD is going to do that. That's a Ripple project. So, by extension, Ripple's already working on behalf of the United States government and our treasury. But we could see that formalized down the road. We could see NDAs expire that lift that veil and disclose that type of partnership between Ripple and the treasury that's already been there. And so what I'm doing right now is very simple, guys. I'm trading crypto on Coinbase and Caleb and Brown. That's where I'm trading. I'm accumulating some cryptos on Uphold. I still use Uphold to acquire DAG. And right now I'm trading other cryptos on Coinbase and Caleb and Brown. On Coinbase, I'm also trading the futures. And there's a tremendous opportunity over there right now. If you want to learn how to trade the futures, I have that trading lesson linked up down below. I'm also using Caleb and Brown right now for sending XRP that I plan on selling off during this bull market. So I'm loading up XRP on Coinbase, Caleb and Brown, and then I have a bunch of XRP on Uphold that I accumulated over the past 3 or 4 years. Ever since XRP was taken off of Coinbase, I moved over to Uphold, and God bless Uphold for allowing us to acquire XRP all throughout the lawsuit. I was able to substantially grow my portfolio by doing so. But now at this point, I'm trading meme coins on the XRP ledger, and I'm trading futures on Coinbase. I trade a couple other cryptos on Coinbase too. And then on Caleb and Brown, that's where I traded Zebec. I'll trade some other cryptos over there as well. And I've been loading up XRP on Caleb and Brown as well. And basically what I do is I just send it over to Caleb and Brown. I send my broker an email, and actually, I forgot, I'm placing the limit orders through the website, through the platform. And so I just load up Caleb and Brown with XRP. I set my limit orders so that I can just set it and forget it. And I have sell orders all the way up to 25, 30 bucks going on right now. But that's all XRP that I've made from trading the meme coins. None of it's my long-term holdings. And you guys really need to understand too, I know, folks have been kind of critical of Caleb and Brown lately, for good reason. It's always good to be critical. It's always good to look into who we're working with. My objective is just to show you guys who I'm using, who's available to help you out. Caleb and Brown's been flawless for me. Coinbase has been all right, other than when they screwed me out of my Flare and screwed me out of my Songbird, and I just don't trust Coinbase. Uphold's been okay, but they hit you with slippage and they have a withdrawal fee. So when it comes to just trading crypto, I still don't mind Uphold. It's all right. It's not the best as far as slippage. But if you don't have to withdraw, then just trading on Uphold's fine. But that 1.75% withdrawal fee on Uphold, I don't like. And so that's why I use multiple platforms. Guys, this is the game. The game is working with the best providers. They're going to provide you the best level of service, the highest level of security, and the best liquidity. And that's the game. It's not one size fits all, where everybody should be on Coinbase. Everybody should be on Caleb and Brown. And I continue to reiterate to our community that my long-term holdings don't go on to any of these platforms. Not on the exchanges, not with the brokers. Nobody sees my XRP. My XRP is gone forever. It needs to just be taken off of the circulating supply calculation because it's going to be buried in my backyard forever. Metaphorically speaking. We got some more super chats. Let's get caught up. Dennis, Ripple is a U.S. government contractor. I found this on their employment apps, January 2024. That's correct. I knew that we'd seen that before. I forgot about the employment. Yep. Who better to work with our government than Ripple, right? Who better to testify in front of the Senate tomorrow than Brad Garlinghouse? This guy says he turned 1,000 into 10,000 on Zebec. You're not the only one, my friend. Yeah. We printed millions on Zebec. It was a really fun play. Had a lot of fun with that one. Not only did I make money, my community made way more. That's how we like to do it over here. Charles Brewer, thank you for the 20 spot. You are very appreciated. Charles, I appreciate you. I appreciate each and every single one of you guys that takes the time to come on to the live shows, to share out the content far and wide. What I've been trying to do is to continuously bring new content, new ideas, new data that's not being discussed by all of the other XRP YouTubers, TikTokers, content creators. There's dozens and dozens of us, but we've been honing in specifically on the order books. We've been talking about some of these crazy meme coin plays. I know it's kind of silly, it's kind of stupid, but it's resulted in us substantially growing our portfolios. And so we're just going to continue to do that, provide that to the community. And as always, it's up to you guys to take action. And that's why I commend you guys. It's one thing for me to tell you guys how I'm playing it and how I'm making money. But what makes me the most satisfied is hearing the feedback and the stories from you guys. Sure, I made a little bit of money. You guys made 10 times as much money as I did. And that's how the world works. It's so simple. When you provide value to your community, you will be rewarded. The money that I made off Zebec is 1/1000th of how much our community made. Literally. That's what makes this so fun for me. But it wouldn't be happening unless we hadn't provided the educational content and the inspiration for you guys to take action. Knowledge is power only when you take action. And that's the key part. So I commend all of you guys that did so. Football Sin, thank you for the 5 spot. Brazil, Singapore, issuing stablecoins on the XRP ledger, and people call it a scam. Ridiculous. They have no idea what they're talking about. And the haters and the trolls have gotten so desperate, they don't even know what to come up with anymore. They've ran out of content. Yeah. USMC Water Rescue, thank you for another 5 spot. I screwed up and sold my bag on Caleb and Brown, not knowing what I was doing. They made 3,900. I made 231. Should I buy now or wait for a bigger drop? I don't know how you did that, my friend. I'm not sure how you did that. That doesn't make any sense. Their fees are only 3.5%. So on whatever your trade was, the dollar value of that trade, if you take 3.5% of that, that was your fee. So I don't know how you were able to only make 231 and they made almost 4,000. That makes no sense. Maybe I'm confused. Maybe I'm reading that wrong. Tom says, sold all my XA58P and bought XRP. That ticker should be blocked from the chat. I watch my comments like a hawk so that I can block and report the scammers, and I have team members that also are watching the chat too. I'm really striving to have one of the cleanest comment sections when it comes to YouTube, because I know how annoying it is when you're watching a YouTube video and you go to the comments and you can't even read the comments because they're just full of scammers. So we really pride ourselves on blocking, reporting, and deleting all of those scammers in comments as fast as possible. I really try to keep it clean. If people want to disagree with me, that's fine. If people want to say I suck, go ahead. I just ask that you please smash the thumbs down too. Don't just leave a bad comment. Also smack the thumbs down for me, please, because we need that interaction. Okay? It's okay. Cold Wallet, yep. All of my long-term holdings are on Cold Wallet, 100%. I also want to add too, oh, you sold 138,000? Okay, so you must have sold at break even. Okay. And so that, could be a user error on the platform. One way to make sure that that doesn't happen is just obviously double check your order before it goes through, right? Double check. But then also you could work directly with your broker so that a mistake like that doesn't happen, right? If you place your order through the broker, they might, double check with you. And they've done that with me. They've done that with me too, where I said, I was withdrawing money. And they double check with me. They say, hey, what bank account do you want it to be sent to? And I said, thanks for checking this one. And then they had the money in my bank account the next day. So, yeah, just double check and work with your broker to make sure that if they can double check, make sure that no mistakes are made when you do that. But yeah, I'm sorry to hear about that mistake. Yeah, Scott, thank you. I love you guys too. Thank you. Appreciate all your support. I called my broker and he explained it all. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Could have happened on any platform though, right? Could have happened on Coinbase, could have happened on any platform. And so, this is why I encourage you guys to practice, because what people aren't calculating is getting hit on slippage, getting hit with a trading fee, getting hit with the withdrawal fee, and then also getting hit with the withdrawal limit. You don't want that to happen. One other thing that I want to add, one last thing on Caleb and Brown. If you're in the United States, you're actually using their US LLC. So they have another entity set up in the United States. They've set up an office in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So they actually have a new base in America. So for those that have been concerned about Caleb and Brown being out of Australia, they're actually in America now. And if you're a US client, you are actually working under their US LLC. And you're also working with Fireblocks, which is another American company as well too. Right? So Caleb and Brown is the broker based out of America using their US LLC and their offices that they've set up in Florida. And then the institutional grade custody is provided by Fireblocks. That's also an American-based company. And if either one of them goes bankrupt, don't worry, because you have bankruptcy remote protection. I just talked with Caleb and Brown last week. I double-checked after they got acquired by the Australian exchange. And I know people are sketched out about this acquisition. The acquisitions, it only happened because the biggest exchange in Australia noted how successful Caleb and Brown's business was and the US base that Caleb and Brown had built out. High net worth individuals in the United States. And the only reason Caleb and Brown has that is because they've earned that trust. They've built out that reputation. The biggest exchange in Australia saw that. They wanted to expand into America. That's why they made the acquisition. And you see that the acquisition price was about $66 million US is what's being reported. The platform has 2 billion assets under management. So that $66 million sale price was just the price of the company. It's not the total assets under management. That's upwards of 2 billion. Okay? Yo, Jalen, what's up, man? Good to see you, brother. 2-spot from Jalen. Known Zach since high school. Good dude. Lock in. Jalen, I didn't know you were an XRP, man. That's good to know. That's good to know that we got you in there. Hopefully you got a nice bag. Yeah. Yeah. Good to see you here, my friend. USMC says they switched it to USD for me for nothing and worked with me. Caleb and Brown is the best. They didn't have to do what they did, and it was all my fault. Yeah, and that happens, right? And I've done it myself too. I've done it on XP Market. That's one of the interfaces for trading on the XRP ledger, and they have their default slippage set at 30%. So when you go to trade there, if you're not paying attention, like I wasn't, and I was switching from a limit order to a market order, and so it automatically adjusted the slippage back to 30% when I flipped back to a market order. And I forget what coin I was trying to buy. It was some coin that the Zoo Cabal was pumping up. And so I it was Stimpy. It was Stimpy. I saw that the Zoo Cabal was pumping it up. And so I said, okay, let me hop in and hop out real quick on this one. And I accidentally top blasted the chart because I went in with a market buy and I set my slippage at 30%. And so what that means is that the market price is right here. And I'm telling the order book that I'm willing to accept 30% more for those coins. And so I top blasted that chart like never before. And it just printed a massive green candle. But then obviously it just quickly dumped back down. But then shout out to the Zoo Cabal because they did what they do and they pumped it back up. And I was able to hit my exit liquidity and I was able to double up real quick within a couple hours. So see, which is something worth noting how like non-competitive it is. Still PvP. People are going to lose money, but even when you mess up trading XRP meme coins, you can still make out. I top blasted that chart and I quickly lost about 50% on my money right after I bought, because I top blasted up 30% slippage and then it dropped by 50%. And so I lost half my XRP like that. But then you let the little cabals do what they do. They pump it back up. And I hit it for that exit liquidity, doubled it up real quick. So that's how you play the XRP meme coins. Yep. Yep, always double check your orders. I'm reading up on your guys' comments right now. Okay. You know, I don't know what's going on. I'm going to have to figure out if my issues with Streamlabs, why I keep on glitching out. It seems that the stream is working fine, just going straight to YouTube. When I try to stream to both YouTube and X, it seems like we're having issues. So I'll figure out that issue. But I appreciate everybody for hanging with us tonight, despite the technical difficulties. The first stream collapsed on us. We were able to pick it back up. And, you know, the conclusion is Brad Garlinghouse is going to take over DC tomorrow. We understand that that's going to take place. We're already seeing these integrations with the XRP ledger expand rapidly, with 100 million in daily volume, cross-chain volume on Axelar already. This is just 1 week in to the XRP ledger EVM sidechain being live, and we're already tracking 100 million in daily cross-chain volume. That's massive. You combine that with the ETFs that will go live in Q3, with the SEC case that's about to be officially dropped. The appeal will be dropped. It'll officially come to an end in Q3. And from a technical standpoint, we just closed out above 230. That was on the daily. And that was after we closed off this week at 225. We flipped that critical level of 225 into support. We're building on that now. We'll continue to watch these massive inflows that are coming in through Korea on Upbit. But this is looking incredibly bullish. XRP, the rally is continuing. I would not fade this rally. I would not expect anything less than a double-digit XRP within the next year. And that's being very conservative in my opinion. I think that there's a likelihood that we could see a $20 or $30 XRP by Q3 of next year. We give time for some laws and regulations to get set. We already got the big, beautiful bill. Ripple's applying for a trust charter from the OCC. They're also applying for a Fed master account. This is full integration and rollout of the new financial system. Ripple's spearheading the entire effort. They're going to take over the conversation in DC tomorrow with Brad Garlinghouse representing us. That's why we got the lock-in shirt on tonight. All is well here in the XRP community. I encourage you, if you're new here, to get tapped in and understand what you hold from a fundamental standpoint. Don't just get caught up in a get rich, this is going to be the one that pumps me up. But understand how critical XRP and the XRP ledger will be to the new financial system. This is happening in real time right now. The inflows are being reflected in the XRP price action to the upside. This rally continues for the foreseeable future. I am long XRP right now, and that trade is going to be in a lot more profit than it already is in. We are far from seeing this thing being done. So I encourage you guys to get tapped in with us. All of our community resources are available at ZachRector.com, whether it be the XRP family merch, crypto exchanges, wallets, precious metals. We have our private community. I just dropped a trading lesson on the basics of trading futures. But even if you are a veteran in trading futures, I would get tapped in on that video because I dropped an arbitrage opportunity that nobody else in the cryptocurrency space is talking about. So take a look at that, take advantage of it. I don't know how long the opportunity will last, but we'll keep on taking advantage of it while it's there. I appreciate everybody for stopping by tonight. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support, and we will see you tomorrow, okay? God bless you all. Thank you.